Thank you for joining me, your host, Ewan Jupp, on this Therapy Business Club podcast today. This is one I'm really excited about because I'm joined by a very special guest, Freddy Jacquin. If you haven't heard of Freddy, where have you been? If you have, you will know what an exceptional practitioner and a compassionate person he is that over many years has helped many people find the freedom they want from things they've suffered and to also empower other practitioners like myself to be confident as a hypnotherapist as well. We're going to get into that and much more today on this Therapy Business Club podcast. If you go to therapybusinessclub.com, you can find out more about what we do as a community of practitioners, of therapists. And if you've just started out in the therapy, whether it's hypnotherapy or any other practice, you'll find tools, resources, a free 14-day trial to help you get into business, marketing yourself successfully, and finding the client you can best help. Right, without further ado, let me welcome today's guest today, an exceptional therapist and someone I consider a friend of mine, Freddy Jacquin. Welcome to this podcast today.
Well, thanks, Ewan, for inviting me along. Great to see you.
It's,
Thanks. No, it's great to be here.
you're very welcome, Freddy. And, just for the background, I've gone through the Jacquin Hypnosis Academy. I found it exceptional training.
Well, thanks.
And we'll just talk about that at the end of the podcast. But I know many people have gone through your academy who are in practice today, helping change people's lives. That must make you feel very satisfied that you've had that input into people's lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I've personally, before the internet, before Zoom, in the same room, face to face, I've seen over 35,000 clients.
Wow.
And we've trained with my son Anthony, we've trained thousands of people on 5 different continents. Up until 2020, that was all live. We traveled all around the world. So yeah, I've seen lots of people and trained lots of people, and I'm still really passionate about this business. Um, yeah, it's not, I don't think there's any greater feeling or satisfaction than helping someone out of pain, whether you call that fear, whether you call that physical pain,
Mm.
emotional pain. So I love teaching it. I love working with people still. It's great.
Excellent. Well done, Freddie. Um, some people might not know you or not really understand where you've come, what's your personal story that's made you what you are today, and of course the academy. So just want to give us a bit of a brief background, how you got into this, what sort of motivated you into your particular line of therapy, hypnotherapy.
Well, I've always been interested in the power of the mind. Some years ago, I coached boxing. I did a bit of boxing, I wasn't very good at it, uh, but my nose is still okay, which is quite something. But then I coached it for a while, and I remember thinking at the time, there's only so much you can do physically, and in any sport, you know how powerful the mind is in that. And
Mm.
at the time, my 2 sons, who are now in their 50s, were young. They were like, 12 and 11. I remember saying to them once, physically we can do so much, but with our minds, it's kind of infinite. And and 2 people working together, it can pretty much achieve anything they want to achieve.
Mm.
So I've always been interested in the mind. But then, I had young kids. I was working. I ended up having my own sales company, and I was in my late 30s, 40s. And I don't know, someone gave me a book on hypnosis, and I was interested. I might have maybe mentioned it, and and then I forgot about it. And I sold my this sales company, and I went to live in Florida for a while. Anyway, and when I came back, I was kind of floating. I didn't have a business because I'd sold it, and I saw this advert which said successful hypnotherapy, and it kind of triggered my thoughts before about interest in it. I had no intention of being a hypnotherapist. I just thought it'd be interesting to find out how it worked. So I went down. It was a company in Bournemouth. I won't name them because it was a terrible training, to be honest. And it was based on the old Freudian way of it used to lay people on a couch for 12 weeks and dig into all the rubbish in their past. It's a terrible way of working, in my mind, anyway. Um, but anyway, I did the course and I came off it. And the first thing my son said, "Oh, you're a hypnotist now, are you?" Laughing at me. He said, "Yeah, you're not a hypnotist." I said, "Well, what do you want to do? He said, well, he was coming up for a boxing match, and he said, I want to lose a couple of stone. So I did this thing. The only thing I had at the time was aversion therapy, which is like a very blunt instrument, but it worked with him, and he lost the weight. He still don't believe he's been hypnotized. This is my oldest son, and in fact, I laid him on a couch like I'd been trained in this training, and he spent the whole time laughing at me. Just lay there, I carried on. Anyway, he still don't believe, but he lost the weight. And it really got me interested. And then people said, can you help me with this, help me with that? And I thought, I love this. Why am I doing anything else? And so I opened this little office. And like most of us when we started, it was like 2 clients a week and scratching around, and it's tough when you start out. So I've started from there. And then I was seeing people smoking mainly. And because I really didn't need, it wasn't like a full-time business, I just said, I'm going to guarantee everything. You come to see me. In fact, my first ad was very simple. It was smoke, question mark, want to quit, question mark, hypnosis, 1 session, 1 payment. You don't quit, I won't charge you. 39 quid. That's how long
Wow.
ago it was. This was 1994, right? So yeah, 30 years ago now. So 39 quid. And my brother had a t-shirt design company on the main street, and he had a board outside he wasn't using, so I just put it on there, and the traffic used to slow down. Anyway, long story short, the smoking business boomed, and then one day I was seeing a couple, and they were late, so I couldn't see them one at a time. So I sort of see them at the same time because the pre-talk's the same.
Hmm.
So I hypnotized them at the same time. At that point in time, no one was hypnotized. It was thought you could only hypnotize one person at a time. Hypnotize these two people, they quit. So my mind, being a salesperson, thinking, if I can hypnotize two people, perhaps I can hypnotize 20 people. And if I can hypnotize 20 people, maybe I can hypnotize 200 people. So I started seeing these mass groups for quit smoking. This is back in the late kind of 90s. And I think, in fact, in 2006, I saw just under 5,000 people for smoking in 1 year.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it got. And then I saw a guy who was a hypnotist in Brighton or Hove. I did a quit smoking group down there, and there were 70 people in this group. And this guy was a hypnotherapist, and he rang me a couple of days later. He said, "Look, when I saw your ad, he said, I thought you've got to be a con man because I've trained with the London School of Clinical Hypnosis. No one can hypnotize more than one person at a time, and you're guaranteeing it." So he said, "I came in just to spy on you." He said, "But when I came in here, so I was smoking. I had no intention of quitting." He said, "But I haven't had a cigarette since. Can you teach me how to do it?" And I said, "Well, look, I don't teach it." I said, "But I need someone to come and work with me. Come and meet me." Anyway, I really like this guy straight off. But he put the German in my mind about teaching. So he and I started what was then called the UK Hypnotherapy Training College. This is 1999. And I started training people. And and from there, like that business kind of boomed. So that's how I really got into it, and mostly at that time it was mostly smoking. And if you ask people back then about hypnotism, they'd say, well, it's smoking or weight loss. Those are the two things. We now know that there's so much more to it. It's pretty much everything is, you can look at it as a negative trance state. Any stuck state, we're in fear, limiting beliefs. You could look at them all as stuck trance states. So it's gone ballistic. But that when I first started back in the 1990s, early 90s, if you talked about being a hypnotherapist, you thought about some old guy in his bedroom with a scabby old jumper on. It was very weird. It was a very out there thing to be doing, hypnosis. I think
Mhm.
back then there was 70, think about it, back in the 90s, there was 70 schools worldwide teaching hypnosis. Now, if you go on the internet and put in hypnotherapy training, it's like millions of people are doing the training. So back then it was quite a niche thing to do. But yeah, then as I said, then I started training people, and it kind of went from there really. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I got into it. Long story.
I think you're right. My perception of hypnosis, Freddie, was that the magician, the mind control thing. I never saw it 20 years ago as something that was helping people in a therapeutic way. But as someone who was coaching, I just felt it just wasn't going deep enough or getting enough. And then I saw an advert, which was your academy advertising, for a new round of training, and it just caught my eye. And I thought, is hypnotherapy the thing that I've not got, that tool that would really
Mm.
give me the extra dimension of being able to help people? And it didn't take long to realize, actually, that in hypnotherapy and correctly practiced, it's such a powerful modality, isn't it, to help people because it's working on the unconscious level. You get blue in the face sometimes just trying to persuade people to change, but change is at that unconscious level. If you can get to that, which hypnotherapy,
Yeah.
does, then the change is a lot quicker and a lot longer lasting, if not for a lifetime, of course, which you would have witnessed.
Yeah,
Um,
I think we can understand the problem. That's what most therapies do.
yeah.
They go through, why you are like you are. And that's quite, it's interesting to know why you are like you are, what caused the problem. But it's really of no consequence because you are like you are. I'm really focused on how you want to be because we do have this tool, and it is an incredible tool called hypnosis, which can take you from where you are to where you want to be very quickly. So my question for all my clients, as soon as I can ask it without being rude, is what do you want? Like, how do you want to feel an hour from now, a week from now? Because most people, especially if they've been in therapy for years, want to tell you why they are like they are. Because most therapies are digging back into their past, which is how I started, which was called hypnoanalysis back then. It's
Mm.
the kind of forerunner of RTT and all the other regression to cause therapies, which is, it might work, but it's a very painful way of doing that and a very long-winded way. As this is a business podcast, from a business point of view, it's probably a better business model because you're going to keep your client in therapy for a much longer time. For many years, I was one and done, and I pretty much still am, to be honest with you.
One and done. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because I know, especially with things like phobias and fears, we can deal with those things in one session. But the way you create a business working, effectively like that is to be truly effective. And that, so your reputation goes out there and you get people talking about what you do. And I want to give everyone an experience. So I remember my son Anthony, who I work with on the academy, he's also into magic and he's great at it as well, card magic and stuff like that. And he's brilliant at it. And I remember he bought Darren Brown's book when it came out, the kind of first book, the Darren Brown. And I'm a terrible reader. I fall asleep after 2 pages. So I listen to a lot of books, but I don't read a lot of books. But started reading that. He had it on the table and I started reading it. And in the first couple of pages of that, I believe it's his first book, he says how he got into the magic. And he said there was a tabletop magician in Bristol where he was living. And this guy came and did some card magic at his university or wherever it was. And he said to Darren, he said, I want to give people an experience they're talking about 20 years from now. And I thought that sounds great to me. So I want my clients to have a big experience. I want them to give them an undeniable experience of hypnosis. We can do, with relaxation and doing hypnosis like that, which I now rudely call relaxotherapy. People work like that still, but I want people to go out of my off the Zoom call or out of my therapy room knowing they've been hypnotized. There was an experience in there that they knew something had happened. And
Yeah.
like you were saying earlier, that you can do coaching, which is great. You can do all those kind of work. But I believe that hypnosis is the only tool that gets to the underlying programming, that changes that piece of programming.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's such a powerful tool.
Yeah. And I've seen that now in results.
Hmm.
It just reaches parts that other things don't reach, whatever that
Exactly. Yeah.
advertising slogan was.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's excellent, Freddie. You mentioned that back in the day there were a certain amount of trainers, providers doing this, but now they're just prolific.
Hmm.
Because I do hypnotherapy on my Facebook feed, for example.
Hmm.
1 in 5 posts might be promoting some sort of training or something. So there's a lot there's a lot of schools out there, and I can't say whether they're this or that, good or bad, whatever. My experience with, your academy was exceptional. So there's a lot of new people coming to this.
Mm,
Some might be trying to solve their own problems, but I like to think that there's compassionate people in the world, and they want to get into hypnotherapy to really help other people.
mm,
So this year we're going to see a new waft of people becoming therapists and reaching out there. So there's a lot of hypnotherapists. Let's use that example.
mm,
But in this first year, Freddie, like any business, there's always that challenge of establishing yourself,
mm.
finding the people you can best help. And I do feel from doing other businesses in my life, there's the assumption that because you've got certain skills, that they will be enough to carry you through. And you've been around long enough to realize that just being a good therapist
It's not
isn't
enough.
enough. So,
No.
what are some of the things that, like, as you see people coming out of your academy in their first year, that first 12 months, some of them might be dedicated to it full time. I got a feeling that most are still probably doing a full time job, just trying to get through. But what are some of the sort of the business skills you feel that therapists really need to get under their belt in those first critical 12 months?
Business skills are the same in any business.
Hmm.
I often liken it to opening a corner shop. If people come and they do the therapy, and when they leave our course, honestly, they're skilled enough to go and help thousands of people. They have the skill, but so many, they think, right, I've got these wonderful skills. I'm just going to watch a bit of morning TV and hope someone finds me. That is never going to happen, and it's tough. It's not easy. But I think that's something you have to bear in mind. It's like any business. If you open a corner shop, you're not just working when there's a customer in the shop. When they're not there, you're filling the shelves. You're doing your books. You're writing adverts. You're writing on the window things that you got for sale. You're all and you're looking at an 80-hour, 90-hour week if you open a corner shop. Whereas with therapy, so many people think they're only working when they've got someone in front of them. That's the only time they're working. That's
Good
not the,
point.
the
Good
case.
point.
If we
Hmm.
look at it like any other business, where if you're not working with a client, you should be marketing your business. And when I started out, it was all newspaper adverts, and it was fortunes. In that year that I told you, where I saw 5,000 people. That sounds great. As a one-man band, I took just under £500,000 that year, but I spent 120,000 on advertising.
Okay.
That was back then in newspaper ads. It was fortunes. I was paying 50,000 a year for two girls to take my calls. The admin side of it and the advertising side, it was fortunes. You see these waves of money coming in. Yeah, it was great. You can go and earn 13,000 a night. Seeing 200 people at a time. And I'd go to Wales. I'd go to Llanelli on a Thursday, Swansea on a Friday, Cardiff on a Saturday. I could earn £40,000 over 3 nights. But the amount of it costs to market it, and then conference rooms and hotel rooms and travel, all that stuff. That's the side. But we now have the ability to see tens of thousands of people from your house
Yeah.
without traveling, without costs, without all the other stuff. But you still have to work at your marketing. And to start off with, when you start off, you haven't got the money to employ people. But as soon as we can, we should be looking okay to start looking. My go-to person is Kev, your business partner in your business club, and he's a bit of a marketing nerd.
Yes,
I don't mean that in a rude way, but that's what he does. That's what he thinks it. That's all he's doing. That's what he loves. And he's a great hypnotherapist, so he understands hypnotherapy as well. So
yes.
from all sides, so I would why would I do that side of it when I know Kev's better at it than me? But until I can afford to pay someone to do it, I can still make the videos. I can still put out on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram. I can still be doing that stuff. And we have to do it, unfortunately. And very few people, you were saying earlier, the people that come in to think I'm going to be a hypnotherapist, they generally come in because they've probably had hypnotherapy and they've had an experience and they want to do that for others. They want to help people. They don't come into it in sales mode. I'm going to make a load of money. That's not what they think. I don't think very few people come into hypnotherapy thinking, oh, this is going to be a great business. I'm going to earn a load of money. No, they come in thinking, I want to learn these skills because I want to be able to do this for other people. But then what I say to people, and whether this is true, I've been saying this for years, but the word sell, because people, most of our students, they say, oh, I don't really want to sell myself. I
Mm.
don't like talking about myself, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell people that how good this is, you know. And I say, look, the word sell comes from the Norwegian word selje, which means to serve. That's where it originates, which means to serve. And if you have a product or a service that can enhance someone's life and you get in front of that person, you do not sell it to them, you've done that person a disservice.
Mm.
So it suddenly becomes your duty.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have these skills, fine. Watch breakfast TV. You know, sit indoors all day, get some sun on you. That's fine. If you don't have these skills, but once you've got these skills and you have the ability to help people, it becomes your duty to let people know that you exist.
Yeah.
If they don't know you exist, you can't help them.
Mm.
And the way we do it these days is through social media. You know, you don't want to put adverts in the paper. If you're starting out on this, someone asked me this the other day, how do I start? In fact, yesterday I said I'll start. And they haven't got, you know, they're just starting from scratch with no real money. I said, well, look, you know, go to every news agent. They've got those little cards in the window. Put a card in the window to start off with. I say get you know a thousand business cards made. It's not expensive, and make sure in every conversation where anyone's talking about this or that or problem in life, make sure you get a card on you. And when a client comes in, don't give them one card, give them five cards. You know, everything that we
Good.
do is suggestion, isn't it? If you give someone five cards, you're suggesting give four out. You know, keep one for yourself and give four to four other people.
Good
And
point.
then let people know that it's a referral business. Because, you know, I know from my own point of view, people think, oh, I don't want to bother Freddie. He must be so busy. You know, he must be something. No, you know, you have to tell people, refer people. You know, I need the work.
Mm.
I need the business.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get it. But the other side of that is by doing good work. You know, and I know when my students leave our course, I say to them, look, yes, you want to be a hypnotherapist, and I understand that, and that's great. But start from the thought, how many people can I help? If you think how many people can I help and how I'm going to help as many people as possible, the money will follow, the business will follow. I think it was Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough people get what they want, you get what you want.
Fantastic.
So
Yeah.
I think that's, you know, that kind of thinking, rather than thinking, how much money can I earn? Because you're stuck with that. If you
Yeah.
just think, oh, right, I've got these skills, how many people can I help? How many people can I let know that I exist so that I can help those people?
Yeah.
And then the business, the money will follow.
I
That's
think
how I
that's,
see this.
yeah, I think that's a very poignant thing you've made there. I mean, I believe perhaps you do that, the universe conspires to help those who want to help others, and people come into your orbit at the right time. The opportunities are there when you have that heart to help people. If some people getting into it thinking this, hypnotherapy is a really lucrative business, I could make a killing by the end of the year. Well, good, that's aspirational, but I think that's unrealistic. And, I have heard in conversation with people who, they're going, I'll do 15 client appointments every week. And then if I do that, I'll have this. I think I don't have if you want to think that sort of aspirationally, but, without the business time put into that, no one's going to be
Yeah.
seeing 15 clients a week. I think that's a very unrealistic thing. So I think you've
I
really
mean,
helped us.
back in a day when I started, that was possible.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, you know, when I first started out, and basically it was mostly smokers, you know, so and a lot more people were smoking. Now it's vaping, you
Yeah.
know, but there's always an opportunity out there, you know, and as quickly as we can help people, people like, Kentucky Fried Chicken and you know the burger chains and the smoking, the tobacco company, they're creating business. You're never going to run out of business. There's always going to be people need your help.
Yeah.
But you know, back when I was doing it, I was seeing six people a day. I was seeing people one after the other, 6 days a week, 6 weeks in advance. I had to ask. That's why I got that guy involved because I could put people over. People say I can't wait 6 weeks. I go and see Adrian, my business partner. Go and see him. But that's what it was like. But it's not the same today because, as you see, there's multiple training companies
Yeah.
training people, and those people are out there. So how do you stand out in that crowd? One, you have to be really effective with what you do. Be really good at what you do,
Yeah.
and then let as many people know about you as possible.
Yeah.
And yes, the only people that are really doing that are people who are saying, you've seen the ad, how to earn a six-figure sum out of hypnotherapy. And then people then you spend more money working with these people. They're going to tell you pretty much the same thing, and it's not true. It
Mm.
might be true for some people, but it's not the norm, But if you can make a good living out of this, which
Yeah.
you can, and it's doing great work, but you have to go at it from that angle.
That
How many
makes
people
sense.
can I help?
Yeah.
How good can I be at this?
Yeah.
But the other side of that is people spend thousands and thousands and thousands on training because they just think I've just got to have one more technique, just got to have one more thing. You've done our training, and I say it. But if you take what we do on our course, if you had nothing else, you've got the skills to help thousands of people. Yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't keep learning. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying get started. So many people never get started, and
Mm.
they're afraid. And if you're afraid, you've probably trained with other people. Go to one of your hypno buddies and say, look, I'm still a bit anxious about doing this. Can you hypnotize me? We've got the tools to do that. No one should really go off any hypnotherapy course not having the confidence because it's a hypnotherapy course. I think that's why would you let anyone off your course without that belief? Because you can hypnotize them at the end of your course and say, when you leave here today and leave this course, you're going to be super confident, which you should be. And so we've got the tools. And if you're not, if, buddies, do it and do some self hypnosis and get yourself in mode. When it comes to achieving things, and this is just my thought, okay? There's 5 questions. This is my thinking. And the first 2 questions come from a friend of mine, Sandra Grace. But they are the best 2 questions we can ask ourselves, whether it's business, whether it's just self improvement or whatever. And the first question is this: what has to happen for you to love yourself enough to treat yourself to that business you truly want to have? What has to happen for you to love yourself enough? The second question, which is equally as important, is if you're not living that life, you're not creating that business now. If not, why not? Because most of us know what we're not doing. So if you're not creating that business, if you haven't got the business you want now, if not, why not? I'll answer those 2 questions. My 3 questions, which I tag on, are these. What do you want? So what do you truly want from your business? Do you want it to be a part-time business, which is totally fine, because you can do 15 hours of hypnotherapy a week and still have a really good life? So do you want a part-time business? Do you want to be full-time? What do you want? So that's the first question, or the most important question. What do you want? You've got to write that down. Be clear on your. I said this to my son. I've got a son of 24. I said, what's your plan? What's your plan for the future? I said, you've got to be proactive or are you reactive? You're just reacting to life and just surviving, or are you proactive? And we need a plan. If you don't have a plan, how can you do it? I think it was Zig Ziglar said the same thing. He said he tells his story about this archer, and he said there's this guy. I think his name was Arthur Brown or something. He said, "Well, world famous archer." He said he could take an arrow and he could fire it into the target, hit the bullseye. He said he was so good he could take another arrow and he could split that first arrow. He said that's how good this guy was. He said, but I could take anyone off the street and within 30 minutes have him hitting the target more consistently than Arthur Brown.
Half the
He,
crown.
he said, providing we blindfold Arthur Brown and spin him around a few times. And he said, well, you'll say that's ridiculous. How can he hit a target he cannot see? And Zig would say, well, how can you hit a target you do not have?
Yeah.
So initially, we need to know what we want, and give yourself that goal. Because then you can reverse engineer it, can't you? If
Yeah.
I want to earn this much money, I need this many clients. If I
Yeah.
need this many clients, this is what I've got to do to make it happen. So if my first question, what do you want? Second question is, what do you need to do to make that happen?
Very good.
And most of us know the answer to those two questions. We know what we want and we know what we need to make it happen. But
Mm.
my third question is where most of us fall down. And my third question is this: what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do to create that business? Are you
Mm.
willing to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and start making videos? Are
Yeah.
you willing to walk around every business in your area and say, "This is who I am," and give them your card? Are you willing to go into every hairdresser's and every nail bar in your area with a little brochure and say, "I'm gonna, I'll help any of your staff in here to do anything if you let me put my brochures on." You're getting a practice for starters. There's going to be girls in those shops who have, fears and anxieties. They want to lose weight. They want to quit smoking, whatever. You get one of those girls, they're going to be talking about you every time they cut your hair. I went to see this weird bloke with a bald head and he stopped me from smoking. That's how you get your business started.
Yeah.
And
Very
then,
good.
then it starts to roll, but you need the momentum.
Mm.
I always think of starting a business like, if you ever watched World's Strongest Man, have you ever seen that program? Have you seen when they pull the truck?
Yeah.
Where they get this guy and it's a stationary truck. I don't know how many tons it weighs. But you see these monstrous guys and they're strapped to this truck. And to start off with, they can hardly move this thing. They've got their hands on the ground, they've got their feet on the ground, and then it starts to move. And once they've got a little bit of momentum, they've got to keep going. If they stop at any time, they're not going to start again because they've used all their energy in that first bit of pulling that truck. And I think that's our business.
Mm.
You've got to really make that effort to start off with. Once you've got the momentum, once you've got one or two clients coming in, and then getting them to talk about you, and then you've got the momentum, and
Yeah.
then you can spend some of that money that you're getting from your first two clients in marketing your business. And we should all be doing that. 20% of your taking should go to your marketing.
Very good. Yeah.
But it's getting the momentum, and it's
Mm.
not easy to start off with. It's a mass, and times when you think, oh, it's just not going to happen, you have to keep going.
Yeah.
I think Churchill said, "When you're going through hell, keep going." Whether it's like, you know, and it's like that when we start our business up. But it's how passionate are you about this? How bad did you want it? Because
Yeah.
that's the big question. How bad did you want it? And my third question, as I said, that's what most of us fall down. And we have to be honest about it. What am I willing to do? What am I willing to do to be, one of those people of the thousands of people that are doing the training? How am I going to be the one that makes this my life?
Very
How
good.
many people? How many people can I help?
Yeah. You made a lot of excellent points there, Fred. I think that section will require relisting because they were so poignant, based from your experience as well. And I think some people get a sort of a kick in the ass when they listen to that, thinking, "I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that." Not that you're condemning people, of course, but I think this idea of momentum is so important. It's so hard just to do something, isn't it? If you just do something, you've got movement and then you've got steerage. You can direct where you need to be. I think a lot of people, certainly sometimes we see in the therapy business club, it's just that the self-belief is not there. That they can, use media, they can set up a camera, they can record something, they can write a script or whatever. It's just this, just need to do something. I think perfectionism
Yeah.
kicks in if I don't do the marketing right. I'm not going to engage with the client I want to work with, but do something. You said actually every time we were on a group session in the academy, and I wrote this down. I used to highlight it. It was everything we're teaching you here. You can immediately use to change people's lives. That's not verbatim, Freddie, but you said something like that, and I'd always remember that. And I remember the first paying client I had was Freddie said, "I have what I need."
Mm.
Whether it's the arrow, time machine, whatever. And then to have done a session and just go out there, balls out, excuse my Dutch, using what you'd taught. And then, through a paying client was for me was just such a watershed moment of my life, really. I could
And you
have
realize
held
it. You
back.
realize it works.
It, it
That,
it
that
does
that's the
work,
first thing. Yeah.
and it's worked ever since
Yeah.
with other
I,
clients as well. But I could have held back and saying, "Oh, this is bullshit. Really, this isn't going to work. Who's going to respond to this?" And say, "I need to do more training. Or perhaps I should do that tapping technique as well. Maybe I
Yeah,
need to add that to my toolbox." And we can always be adding these things, of course. But I think the point is therapists just need to get out there and engage. And we live in an unprecedented time, don't we, Fred? It's not just yellow pages now. We've got social media, Facebook,
yeah,
TikTok, Instagram. I mean, there are so many platforms now that are
yeah,
free to use. We're the commodity, but that's a different conversation altogether.
yeah.
That we
Well,
can be,
when you're not doing therapy, you should be studying marketing.
yeah, very
You know,
good.
you
Yeah,
should be looking at social media marketing,
yeah,
and until you're in a point where you can, and I'm going to point to, we haven't worked together as in a marketing way. You know, obviously worked together as hypnotherapists, but my go-to person is Kev. It's been Kev for the last 4 or 5 years. And I know how many people he's helped. So, I'm going to point people at Kev all the time because he does it better than I do. Kev does the work for our academy. So I wouldn't be pointing people at Kev if I wasn't using him myself. And I know he's better at it than what I do because that's his game. That's what he does. That's what he's good at.
yeah.
So yeah, but I'm still going to be doing my videos. One bit of advice I would say to everybody who starts doing videos: you don't look at them. You do them and get them out there. Don't look at them too much because we look in the mirror, we're going to see everything that's wrong with us, and it's the same when we look at our videos. And if we do that, we're never going to publish our videos. But you've seen what I do. My YouTube channel, which is Freddy Jacquin Hypnosis. I think there's 350 sessions on there. I have I think it's like 700 hours a month people watching my videos. That's, I did one TikTok video that got 800,000 views. That's
Wow.
800,000 people who now know I exist. If
Mm,
I'd done that video, I did it in my garden. It was a stupid finger on a head, stuck on a head thing. But over that, it's like 8,000 people. It's
yeah,
like 1 million people who see me
yeah.
on TikTok. If you lived in a town normally, when I started out in business, you lived in a town, you wouldn't see 1 million people in your lifetime, never mind overnight. But you only have to do one video that goes kind of viral, and you're not going to do that unless you make the video.
Mm,
But don't look at it and go, well, I've only got 26 views. That's not very good. It doesn't matter. I had no idea that video would go viral. And overnight, I've got 25,000 followers, 800,000 views on one stupid video. It took me 3 minutes to make in my garden. So we've got to be doing it. That's the
yeah,
game at the moment.
yeah,
And
yeah.
now we've got AI. So what I'm saying is, I'm old, so I'm a little bit laid back now. But if I was starting out again, I'd be an AI expert. I would be making sure I knew how to use every bit of AI,
Mm,
to create content, to create videos. I'd be doing it. And if I don't know how to do it, you and Kev know how to do it, from your marketing platform. So we don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. We just have to model people who are already doing it.
yeah.
Look at people who are already successful in this game and just say, what are they doing? It's the old NLP idea of modeling excellence. Take the best people in our game and go, what are they doing? I'm 73 this year. If I see you running a technique that's more effective than something I'm doing, I'm going to nick it off you.
Yes.
I'm gonna use that technique for my client because ultimately I want my clients to be as well as they can be. And one of the things you've heard me say, because you've done our training, is and it's a quote from the great Milton Erickson. He was working with someone who had cancer of the jaw, and as a last resort, they called Erickson. This guy was in agony, but he didn't want any more morphine because he had like 3 months to live, and he wanted to still converse with his wife and his kids. So they called Ericsson, and Ericsson did his stuff, and the guy had no pain. And someone asked Ericsson afterwards, said, "Did you know you could do that?" And Ericsson said these words, which are so important to us as hypnotherapists, or in any kind of business thing, really. He said these words. He said, "I had my doubts. What I had no doubt about was I could keep my doubts to myself."
Very good.
And when we start out in this, we are going to have our doubts. Is this
Mm,
person bright enough? Am I skilled enough? What we must have no doubt about is we can keep those doubts to ourselves.
mm,
And if we do that in business as well, and and kind of people kind of look at business and they think, should I go to should I work with corporates? Should I go into a business, say, like I can help your salespeople drop any fear, approach anxiety? Can I do that for this company? Could I approach Sainsbury's? Could I approach one of these massive companies? And people are scared. They think it's a massive company. You know, one of my favorite kind of analogies is when it comes to aiming at big companies, is the analogy of Goliath. There was this monster,
Mm.
and all the people in the army were frightened of fighting him. He'd step out and everyone would run away. But David, all he could see was a target he couldn't miss.
Very good. Yes.
And look at these companies. I think because you only have to get in one corporate company and you're made. And there's how many people do you want to achieve? How many people do you want to help?
Yeah.
Because you get to a corporate, you're going to help thousands of people. You get on TikTok, you can help thousands of people. One of those videos. And when it comes to making the videos, my one bit of advice is just when you're going to make your video, ask this question: is this video I'm making transformational or educational? That's, is someone going to learn something from this, or are they going to get a transformation in the next 2 minutes?
Mm.
And then make the video, and then don't look at it. Put it
Yeah.
out there and forget about it. Just
Yeah.
let it go. Because otherwise, I say we're our own biggest critics, and
Yeah.
it's the worst thing. It's what holds us back.
Yeah.
Let go of all of that and just go, okay, I want to help as many people. I can't let my own concerns about myself get in the way of this. And then
Yeah.
you're going to create that business you want.
Mm. Very good, Freddie. Very good. I think a lot of us are perfectionists, aren't we? We're trying to create the perfect video, the perfect presence. But
And wait
that
forever.
that old 80-20 rule, if it's 80% good, it's good enough. Just get it out there, get some action, just do something. That's what I think is the important
If
thing.
if you, I know most people come in and they love this work. So just be passionate. Just
Mm.
talk about it like you're talking to your friend, how excited you are about this,
Yeah.
how I can help that person.
Yeah.
And that's
Passion.
going to come across. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. We're all different. You don't have to shave your head bald and grow a goatee beard to be, a hypnotherapist. As funny as that would be. But, you just be yourself and
Yeah.
recognize you're already a good enough person.
That's
You're
true.
already, I think that's the problem. I think we've seen it throughout the years. It's hilarious. People who go and do these training companies and do hypnotherapy training, and they're talking to you like I'm talking to you, and then when they say, "Okay, I'll start the therapy," and they go, "And now, with your eyes closed, you can begin to relax." And they're trying to emphasize or relax, and they're trying to get into all the like, be yourself.
That's true. I was with you, Freddie. You're just there is no hypnotic voice. You just keep talking in the same manner
Not
as you.
annoying way, yeah.
Not annoying, but I mean that's one thing I picked up on you actually. There's no. I've switched to my hypnosis voice now.
No, but you see it so often, and people think
Yeah.
there's a change, and they think the communication in the therapy room is different as well. What I say to all my students: you've been communicating since you first opened your mouth.
Yeah.
And then you go in the therapy room, you've got to think you can communicate differently. No, be the human being.
Yeah.
Now you've got some skills. Yeah, you've got some techniques. You've
Yeah.
got some understanding of how you can help this person get in touch with their own ability to change, but you're still communicating in the same way. And if you're the human being in a room, that's the most important thing here.
For sure.
Just you've heard me say it. Hold this thought in your heart. I care about you. I want you to be well. And because it's so easy to forget that and
Mm.
just get focused on the words and the techniques
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
forget about being the human being.
Yeah.
Just run that. When you look at your client, think, I care about you and I want you to be well. And then everything else from that will flow.
Excellent.
Trust that you're good enough. And if you have any doubts, keep them to yourself. And the most important thing, I know we got a bit off the business thing here, but when it comes to working with our clients, the most important thing is your 100% belief in their ability to change. Not your ability, it's their
Mm.
ability.
Very
If
good.
you hold that so absolutely, it gives them no space to doubt that.
Yeah. Good.
But from a business point of view, just work.
Yeah. Well,
Accept that
yeah.
you've got to work at it. And
I
but look
think
at people
the
who
the
can help
work
you.
ethic. Yeah, the work ethic, you've really made that point there, Freddie. I would like your 2 cents worth on this debate that goes back and forth between being a generalist in therapy or sort of being a specialist and finding a niche. What is the more lucrative, to use that word? What's going to serve you best long term? Is it niching down on something like smoking or weight management, or should
I
we
only
do
think
all things to all people?
I think we start from ourselves. What are we passionate about? What gives me the most joy in helping people? Is it helping people, achieve their physical goals or their career goals, or helping them overcome fears and anxieties, or is it
Yeah.
overcoming? Uh, because start with there, and then start with, but rather than a whole list of things you're going to raft of things you can help them with, start there, but let people know that you have the ability to help with other things.
Okay.
But I would suggest that you start with what you're really passionate about. What is it? Is it helping women achieve belief in themselves? Is it helping men, understand their worth and value? What is it that you really are passionate about? Because then that's going to come across. But you have the skills to open it up.
Yeah.
Because I often say, once you realize how easy it was to change this problem, you may start to look at the other aspects of your life to think, and in which case, give me a call and you come back
Yeah.
in and
Very good. Yeah.
we
Very
do
good.
that.
Again, it's just getting to do something, isn't it? Just get movement.
It's
Just,
starting. It's
yeah.
starting. It's always tomorrow.
Yeah.
You've got to do it today.
Yeah.
What can I do today? What can I do in this moment toward my goal?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like when I see people for physical goals, weight loss, say, everything you eat, just ask the question: is this taking me away or toward my goal? And if it's taking you away, do something else. And it's the same with our business. Is what I'm about to do taking me away or toward my goal?
Mm.
And is what I'm doing at the moment an excuse not to get started?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because most of its excuses not to get started. Because if you don't start, you can't fail.
That's
And
true.
that's what most people don't get started. But is it a hobby or is it a business?
Mm. Yeah.
A hobby is something you do that it costs you. A business is something you do that you get paid for, or
Yeah.
you earn from.
Yeah.
And what mode are you on? People call themselves hypnotherapists. Are they doing the work? But it starts with just that first trying to pull that bus. You've got to keep going. If you stop, you're never going to move it. But once it starts to move, then you
Yeah.
get that momentum, and then then it's rolling.
Mm.
But you have to get started,
Yeah.
and you
Very
have
good.
to be willing. So those
Yeah.
3 questions, I'll say again. What do you want?
Mm.
If you're watching this and you're thinking, I'm going to start my business, take the time out. Take 10, 15, 20 minutes to think, how do I want to be a year from now? How want my business to be a year from now? If I was successful, how much money would I be earning, and how would I be living? How many clients would I be seeing? So get that clear in your mind. Write down what you
The
want.
old-fashioned business plan, Freddie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really?
Second question, what do I need to do to make that happen? And we now know, because especially people that join your club, you're going to get all that information. So what do I need to do? Then the third question, right? Okay, I've got that information. What am I willing to do?
Mm.
How bad do I want this? Because honestly, I've dug ditches for a living, and this is a much better job than digging ditches. So I've been there. I've been on that. I know how hard it is. I've worked 48 hours non-stop in past lives. But to bring my kids up and give them everything I want, and I know what grafting is. Doing this work is how people said to me, "Oh, it must be really tough doing that." What, sitting and speaking to people while they're sitting there with their eyes closed? How difficult is that? And making a few videos to let people know you exist. Compared to, they say, oh, it's really tough. Compared to what?
Mm.
Compared to what a 9 to 5 job, stuck in an office all day. How compare it?
Mm.
How much you want this? Give you a
Yeah.
life of freedom where you can work anywhere on the planet. You can travel and do this work. It
Mm.
gives you the freedom to do everything you want to do, and you're doing something of real value.
Mm. Yeah.
You know, I had people phoning me from 20 years ago and saying, I saw you 20 years ago. My wife and I saw you 20 years ago to quit smoking. We haven't had a cigarette yet. And it's great. So whatever it takes, if you're in this for the business, get started. Like you said, just
Yeah.
get started.
Ticks all the boxes for me. Working for oneself, helping people, seeing the change. I think that's what I like a lot about it, Freddie. There are tangible results to it. It's like a builder when he builds a house. There's something to look at the
Yeah,
end of it. There's a
exactly.
lot of virtual jobs these days, and it might look like you've created an AI image, but actually it doesn't really exist. But a builder, he builds a house, he can
Hmm.
see the tangible result. And in therapy, when you really help someone and they've experienced true freedom from what it was that was holding back, it is such a satisfying thing, of course. Who,
Some years ago, just quickly, I had an allotment. I don't know if people don't know what an allotment is. It's a bit of ground. I had a two up, two down house with a small garden. I had two young boys, so I got this allotment to show them how to grow stuff. Anyway, I needed a water tank. My wife went online on this thing. It was where you exchange stuff rather than put it to the tip. And this guy said, "I've got a water tank." So 10 miles from where I lived, I went over to this guy's house, knocked on his door, and he said, "Yeah, it's round the back. I'll show you where it is." So I'm walking up the garden path with him, and he said, "You don't remember me, do you?" I said, "Sorry, I don't." He said, "I came to see you with my wife." He said, "7 years ago." He said, "To quit smoking." He said, "How many cigarettes do you think we've had since?" I said, "None." He said, "Absolutely." He
yeah,
said, "Our reason for coming to see you is because we wanted to start a family." He said, "We now got two young girls under seven." He said, "And we've saved £35,000 that we would have spent on our cigarettes." This is back like in the early 2000s. So maybe, yeah, so it's that long ago.
yeah,
That's a fortune. And this guy, and he said, "And we've got two kids now." He said, "Thanks very much." And I think he paid me 50 quid for a group session and he'd saved £35,000 on his cigarettes. And that's just one of those 35,000 people I've seen.
incomparable.
So there is no comparison when it comes to satisfaction from our job.
Yeah,
I don't think.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. That's a good motto. Obviously, you've been in it for the long term, Freddie. Your career has expanded quite a few years. I would love to see every therapist who comes in, including myself, still here, helping people in 20, 30 years' time. What's going to be the thing that will keep people long term as successful therapists, making a good living from it, in a
Doing the
nutshell?
work, being passionate about doing good work, being passionate about it, and letting people know you exist.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what's going to keep you doing it.
yeah,
And that will happen if you're doing really good work and you're focused on that aspect of it, helping people. The
yeah,
money will follow, the business will follow, and being willing to do whatever it takes to create that life you want.
mm,
My mantra now is, creating the life you want by helping others create the life they want.
very good.
Now, how what better life is there than that?
Yeah. And some of it at the start might be uncomfortable, making a video, getting out on social media. Some people find that a bit uncomfortable. But I mean, I suppose all therapy is engaging people. You've got to have those communication, personable skills, haven't you? So at some point, if you want to succeed in this, you're going to have to learn the new technology now, which
Or,
is not
or you,
difficult to
when
do.
it comes, you have to learn new technology and how to make videos, but there are people like yourself and Kev who
Yeah,
run these business, who are getting people to understand and you know, teaching them how to do it. But the other side of that is you can also, ask someone, employ someone like
of
Kev,
course, of
you
course.
know, but which is for me, because I'm now at that age where it's the rocking chairs calling. I'd rather Kev do that than me, but I still want to do this work, so
Of
I'm still
course.
going to do it. And as I
Yeah, yeah,
said, the only way to do it is to make the videos and know that you're okay. Be the human being.
yeah,
It might be scary to start off with, but be willing to fail.
yeah. Very good. Very good.
That's the other thing. You think you've got to be perfect in every way. That's not it. And I say it to my students because people ask me, what is the most common phobia? Is it needles? Is it spiders? Is it snakes? Flying? It's none of those things. The most common phobia is the fear of failure.
Mm,
It's what stops us in our tracks,
yeah.
the fear of failure. But there was a book by a guy called um, oh Tim Ferriss,
Yeah.
called The 4 Hour Body. He's written a few books, 4 Hour Chef, 4 Hour Work Week, which is also good. But he wrote a book called The 4 Hour Body. And in the book, he's using his body as a kind of laboratory. He wants to lose 14 pounds of body fat and put on 14 pounds of muscle. And it's not easy, but it's doable. I know I've done it myself. But what he says is if you want to put muscle on, not just get fit, but if you want to bulk up, if you want to grow your muscle, then you, instead of doing like 20 weights that you can lift, you pick up a weight that you can only lift 3 or 4 times. Where on the third or fourth time you fail, you just cannot lift it. But you put everything into it and you fail. What happens is you rip the muscle. It's painful. But over the next day or so, that goes to scar tissue, and that's what gives you muscle size.
Mm,
But when I read that, I thought that's a perfect analogy for us as therapists, as business people, as human beings. If we want to grow as a person, if we want to grow as a therapist, we want to grow as a business person, we have to look at failure as our ally, as something to be working towards instead of avoiding. Because it's in the moment of failure that we grow. We don't learn anything in a comfort zone.
excellent.
But you've
Mm,
got to be willing to take the pain. A failure when you do something and it doesn't work, or you've done a video and you don't get 500 likes on it, or whatever it might be. It's
it's,
painful, but you just make another video.
so,
Keep going. And
mm,
I would say that's the thing. Just keep going
yeah.
and never give up, never give in.
It would be a shame for so many people who have a heart to help others, who are gifted therapists, but fail simply for not being able to do the technology, the videos, the social media engagement, everything. What a shame that would be. I mean, that's one of the visions of the Therapy Business Club, right? Is to recognize that people, don't necessarily know how to use Canva, how to create images, how to create engaging posts. This is what we do, and we've seen of the months that we've been established, people who are a bit reticent about using it now with YouTube channels, banging the
Yeah,
videos out, engaging and getting money in the bank from clients
yeah,
they've engaged from the new skills they've learned, which is
yeah.
wonderful. Just quickly, Freddie, most people listening to this or watching this will be probably hypnotherapists, but some aren't. So just tell us briefly, Jacquin Hypnosis Academy, what is it and who can it best serve?
Well, it's anyone that wants to learn these skills and they're life skills. They're not just to be a hypnotherapist because, you can use these skills with your kids. You can use them in your business. Once you get into hypnosis, you'll see it everywhere. In every marketing, every good sales, there's an element of influence. How do we influence and how do we help people change? So the Jacqueline Hypnosis Academy, we train people to be to diploma level in hypnotherapy. A lot of the techniques, the things that I've created and developed over the years, just by doing it, they're all simple. There's none of it's wordy, and anyone can learn it. And the Jacqueline Hypnosis Academy is a 50-hour. The diploma course is a 50-hour training over 6 months. And in those 6 months, we teach everything we know. It's not
Mm,
like it's an advanced course. Everything I've learned, everything my son Anthony's learned over the last 25 years, we show it. And, when we want to turn out effective, and we do turn out effective hypnotherapists. And because we want this to be everything, when we started out, we wanted to give them everything because so many courses, you go on a course, they teach you a technique and then go home. Good luck with that. We want it to be complete.
mm.
So we take them in the last two modules of the course through the business side of it,
Yeah.
how to create that business, a marketing model. And we also created the Jacquin Professional Hypnotherapy Association, which is purely a page for our diploma students to get business from.
Okay.
And Kev actually he hosts that. So
Mm.
I want it to be complete. I want people to come on that course, and if they want to be a hypnotherapist, go off it with the ability to do it.
Mm.
And that's our goal with the Jacquin Hypnosis Academy. And like with your group, there's a 14-day free trial.
Yeah.
See, try it. Um, if you start now, you're probably getting that first 2 modules of our new diploma course, and we'll teach you how to hypnotize people. And that's our goal really, and we love it. And my goal is to keep going as long as. And this is the other thing about hypnosis: as long as I can speak, I can wheel me in a room, I can do this work. So, that's the
I've
joy
seen
of it.
you. I've seen you induce someone, Freddie, just with your eyes, mate.
Yeah, everything's possible, and I can teach you how to do it on our course.
Well, just personal testimony. Obviously, Jacquin Hypnosis Academy is what I was certified through, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. Very reasonably priced. The level of instruction was just so high quality, and more importantly, the skills that I learned, real world skills, have helped me establish a hypnotherapy business that I'm still growing. It's not there yet. I do a number of other things, but I'm so glad to you, Freddie and Anthony, for such a good foundation. So that is jacquinhypnosisacademy.com. If someone is interested in qualifying as a hypnotherapist and just benefiting from the exceptional resources and mentorship of Freddie himself. Thank you
And,
so
and without trying to take anything away from you, Ewan, if anyone wants to see me on a one-to-one basis, it's freddyjacquin.com.
There you go. Still 2 shillings, is it? Or it's gone up a bit
Yeah,
since.
yeah, no, it's still 39. No, it's not.
Well, I've learned a lot today, Freddie. Really, thank you so much for giving us the time today, and
It's been a
a
pleasure.
lot of takeaway points there. I think for me is I want to help people. I care about people. It's what you say. And if we want to be able to still be doing that in the years' time, or whatever, we've got to just to get the other assets and business mind into place. Maybe we're businessmen or women first and therapists second, but I'm glad that there's these sorts of opportunities through your coaching, through your training for people to help others as many as we can make the world a better place, if I can say it in
That's it.
a
Yeah,
way.
and we do.
Yeah.
And it's like if you dropping a pebble in the pond. I know because I said, I've been helping people quit smoking for 30 years. And those people who came to see me with young kids 30 years ago, the chance the other kid never started smoking because they stopped. And so you don't realize how far this goes. If you help
Mm.
someone out of a fear and phobia and they, through that, the ability to public speak where they couldn't do it before, they increase their business and through that they help their families. We will never know the reach you get from helping one person. So from my point of view, there is nothing, nothing more enjoyable
Mm.
than doing hypnotherapy. And if you're a mother or you're someone who's at home or you've retired, it's a great part-time business.
Yeah.
You can work to your own hours. Suits you and your kids, or suits you and your partner. That's the joy of it. You don't. It's entirely up to you where you want to go with it, and how far you want to push it. But I'll warn everybody who's not doing hypnosis at the moment. Once you get into it, it's a rabbit hole, and you'll be so fascinated by it that you'll be in it forever. And and there's always something new to learn. That's the joy of it.
There you go. Thank you so much, Freddie, for sharing wonderful, useful, instant cashable at the bank insights there. I've really appreciated your time. Thank you so
And
much. And I know
thanks for asking me to come on. It's been
you're
great.
very welcome. This is Ewan. This is the Therapy Business Club. If you are a newly qualified therapist, or perhaps you've been doing it for a long time and you've really still not got those business skills under your wing and you're struggling to engage the ideal client, or perhaps how do you put a video together? How do you do a podcast? How do you put posts together? Think about joining the Therapy Business Club. It offers a free 14-day trial, and you'll be part of our Facebook group. There's weekly coaching sessions. There are assets, resources. There's so much you can enjoy for free right off the bat. That's therapybusinessclub.com. If you're on Spotify listening to this podcast today, thank you for being here. If you're on YouTube watching this, please consider subscribing to this channel, leaving a like and sharing this far and wide as possible. I'm Ewan, and I hope you have a great day. Peace.